Good morning, everybody. Everybody thank Carlos for the music. Let's get charts. Being out looking at the logo, that'll be a start. Let's kick this off. Already started. Drawings. Get rid of the cloud. I'm gonna figure out where the heck that's coming. I paused it. Get it? Pause. Okay, great. Let's get rid of this so I don't confuse everybody. And we'll get rid of the clouds for now. So let's talk about what's going on in the NASDAQ, and then we'll start drilling into this. Number one, you want to watch this level very carefully today and make sure that you hold above it. So you want to make sure that you hold above that key level. Now, whether or not we do remains to be seen. It's very early in the day, so we just really don't know how this is going to play out. You have jolts at 10 o'clock. The jolts number I think we're looking for is 9.4. I think is what we're looking for, 9.46. Let me see something here. If I click this, what happens? Am I gonna? It might get rid of that window. Yeah, it's going to. I think it's 9.46. I'll tell you in a moment exactly what it is. Yeah, jolts job opening 10 o'clock. 9465 is what they're looking for. You're going to want to watch that. I really think that's the one thing that I think that's the one thing that people are going to really be paying attention to now. And let me just pop that out there so that people can see that and go paste at 10 a.m. You're going to want to watch that. That might be why we're going sideways until then. So that's definitely something that should be on your radar today. One topic I do want to go over with people. See this deal? I'm not going to get into all these names because there's too many. See this deal that took place? HT. All right. So this is a REIT. And I know people don't like trading REITs, whatever. I don't really care. But the reason I bring this up, okay, trust, see it up there. Oops. So they go there. Sorry. Trust. All right. So this is a REIT. This was trading under book value. I would tell you to spend a lot of time and start looking for these names that are trading under book value that are REITs. Okay? It is going to be no different than when everybody was telling you that Toll Brothers was going to zero and it was trading under book value. We wound up paying like $44 for it, right? And we did this with a couple names. These things are not going to trade under cash value. They're just not, right? So you might want to go through these and see if there's one that interests you. The fact that HT, that they just came out and bought that kind of premium, means that people are going to have a very strong interest in these names. I understand this is hospitality. I get it. I understand it's not commercial. It's not office space. It's not New York. I'm just going to throw out the idea that maybe every office in New York is not worth zero. That's all. I'm just going to give that comment as we go forward. Next, if we take a look at the NASDAQ, you are in a pickle, and so am I. And where is the pickle? I'm glad you asked. So I went through this in last night's video. I didn't even do an intro because I just really wanted to just pack it. And one of the core things that you have to look at is, where are we? Well, you're in the middle of just a storm. In my opinion, that's how I look at this. Here's my 12. Some people use something different. For those that are new, I use a 12, I use a 22, and I use a 55. You should use whatever you're comfortable with. These are simple moving averages. You could see the rejection of the 22.55 right here. The moment that this happens, your next level that you have to use as resistance is always the higher number, which is right here. Then you come here and you go, okay, well, what am I going to do with this? Well, you're going to watch. You're going to see how this goes. And what are you doing? You broke like you were going to break down, and then you didn't break down, did you? And then you undercut and you took in what? Supply. Why did we go up? Because we had demand. Okay, we undercut here and we took in what? Supply. Why? Do we go higher? Because we had demand. Went to the 55, rejection. Went to the 55 again, rejection. What's going to happen here? I don't know. Maybe we're going to reject. Maybe we're not. And I don't think you want to go on the premise that we're just going to reject. And I'm going to show you a couple spots as to why I think that. And then we're going to go from there. Number one, see that level right there? Okay. You've been unable to successfully get below and stay below that level. That is the first thing that I would look at. And this is the first thing I'd pay attention to. Now, if JOLTS is high, like let's say it's 10 million or something like that today, all bets are off. All right. And you can slice and we could be down 2% today and it could be super nasty. That can happen, right? But we have to look at what's going on. For example, like Nvidia. Okay, we're down like $4 this morning. But, and again, I could really care less. But what you're seeing in here is rejection, 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 right? Why are you seeing that rejection? You're rejecting the 22, the 12, the 55. I'll clean all this off so you can see it a little clearer. This is very hard to look at and think that that doesn't have the possibility of going higher. Now, we can absolutely gap down, go lower. Of course it can. And that's something that we have to take a look at. But I don't see why. I mean, if you're here, this is before earnings, this is after earnings, and you still can't break the 22. And now the 12 starting to catch up to it. And now I have a cross. So I just want to kind of walk through this so you get it. You had it, you crossed here and broke. So 1222 cross, which would tell you that, hands off. Okay, now I've got a 1222 cross bullish pointing up. All right. So this is something that I would definitely be paying attention to. Something that I think that you should be looking at and paying attention to. All right. And I can't stress that enough. I would not pay attention to what I'm pointing out. I don't really care what happens in a day, but this is pretty substantial for a market that's doing this. So if you want to know who the leader is, maybe that's one to watch. All right. I mean, I think it's very clear. I don't think I'm adding a lot of value there saying that's the leader. If we look at the ES, same thing. You see the bounce, you're trapped in here. 44.83. There's a reason why I went over and go watch last night's video. There's a reason I spent a lot of time on this for you guys. You're just trapped in here. So here's what's going to happen to people. I'm just going to tell you exactly how your day is going to go before it even begins. Unless you get a really bad JOLTS number, you're going to short and things aren't going to break. And you're going to get pissed. And you're going to go long and things aren't going to rally the way that you think they're going to rally. And you're going to get annoyed. You're in a trading range here. Nothing's been decided. The only way that something's going to be decided is when you start breaking levels. What are the first levels you should watch? The very first levels I would watch are like on the ES. I would be watching the 5. I'd be watching the 3. Okay, these are those moving averages on this chart. You can see how we are acting here. And for those people that just want to look at the SPY, just do it on the SPY. How's the SPY doing? Get rid of pre and post. Okay, you are above the 3, the 5, and the 8. When was the last time that you were above the 3, the 5, and the 8? It was back here in July. You're now above the 3, the 5, and the 8. You're not breaking lower lows, even though you have higher lows and higher or in lower highs. You're wedged in here, right? If you look at the SPY, let's just do it real quick. You'll see what I mean. You guys probably already say it, but you're wedged in here like that. Oh boy. And then you're wedged in here like this. Right, you guys probably already see that. So when was the last time you were above this on the SPY, right? Sometimes it's just easier to use the SPY because you guys don't look at the futures markets. And which is fine, doesn't matter. But you see what I'm getting at here? All right, so does this look like it has the possibility of being a turn? Please listen to those words, like has the possibility. Not that it is turning, it has the possibility of being a turn. So I would pay attention to that. That is something that's of interest. So anytime I have, and just give like really quick tip for me and how I view the world, if I have an event like this where I have like the 3, the 5, and the 8, and they all cross to the downside, and we're unable to break over and over again, and I'm sure you guys already see this, like here, how you're just absolutely unable to break over that, right? You just can't. You can't stay above it. And then all of a sudden, it starts to change, and all of a sudden, I'm starting to stay above. I have a 3, 8 cross. Well, that's not the best, but I've got this 8, this 3, a 3.5, then I have a 3.8. All right, well, that's interesting. Well, this is kind of crossing to the downside. Well, how's it going to cross to the downside if it stays up here? Well, it's not. Okay. So maybe if you're trading the SPY or you just watch the SPY instead of ES, maybe one of the levels you might want to watch today is 440, right? And just make sure that you don't go below 440. Okay. Never short a dull market, guys. I have no idea what Jolt's number is going to be. I have a feeling of what it is, but it doesn't mean I'm right. But we have a change here, and we want to watch when we have changes. All right. I'm going to give you another change here that I think is very pertinent for those that look at the Qs. And we're going to just go to a plain screen, and let me get rid of the notes. If you don't get the newsletter, link in description. There is a free version to it, and we will go from there. Number one, if you look at the Qs and you look at how this is playing out, you can see this top right in there. Okay, you can see where we're at, how we rejected. Number one thing I want people to wrap their heads around: if you didn't call the bottom, stop calling the top. Okay, there's no faster way to develop an ego and do that. All right, that sure looks like a cup to me. This is a perfect cup and handle. Just deal with it. Whether you think it is or it's not, or you think we're going back down, I don't really care. But if you're going to be a technician or you're going to use technicals, that's a cup and handle, period. All right, so it's there. Now, whether or not that fires, we can just clone these, all right, and go from there, okay? So this is what we have. All right, now let's go look at this. And I went through this last night. I just want to point it out again so that you guys get it for today and you get this morning. You're going to move on a weekly or daily chart before you move on a weekly chart, right? Everybody understand that? Okay. So one of the key things you're going to look at today, this is rate of change. See how rate of change is trying to get back over the zero line? Failed the zero line, trying to get back over the zero line. When was the last time rate of change was over the zero line? Well, let's take a look at that. Here, okay, just happens to mark the high, happens to mark the same exact time that Japan changed their monetary policy. None of this is a coincidence, guys. Could we just have digested everything from that? And now we had risk off, and now we're seeing risk on. Is that a possibility? Yeah, it is. But at the same time, you want to make sure that the Qs get back above here on a weekly basis, because I really use this on a weekly basis. All right, so I've gone through that, and I really want to hammer that stuff home so that people get it. I will be asked about a bunch of names. Nvidia, I just walked through. What I would do with Nvidia is, and just to be full disclosure, I have a position in Nvidia. So what I would look at with Nvidia is I would look for patterns. Well, every morning they sell us down, don't they? Right? Every morning they're just selling us straight down. Maybe sometimes it takes an hour, but it's down until it's not. And then it changes. And then you start looking at this and go, okay, well, this is what you're selling right now. All right. Just something to think about. So I'd be real careful here and getting involved and selling. I just would be very careful with the way that I view the world here. You're having a real tough time up here, staying below certain levels. And that means you have buyers. And not only do you have buyers, for those that are watching, you have a flag. Okay, you have a high, tight flag, period. It is not debatable. The only issue that you have is the high, tight flag is developing right under the control bar. All right. So if you flip 71, 72, it's pretty much on. Okay. All right. Something to think about there, guys. But I would not sleep on this. I'll get asked about Tesla, because I always get asked about Tesla. Yeah, I came in short. I said this in the video yesterday, and I had a full position on the short. So when it rallies up, even like one of my rules is I can't add to a losing position. I just can't do it. And it's worked for me, even though I felt pretty comfortable. Like we had people in the room, they asked me where they should be shorting. And I said, you know, we're right there. And this was really easy to spot too. And I'll just show you so that everybody can do this for themselves. One of the core levels you always want to mark in any market, right? So here we are, here's Monday and 9:50 before you start the day. You always want to draw these lines, okay, and just kind of see where you're at with your highs, right? Where you start around 4 o'clock. And then obviously you can see here how you got the 44 up here. You just always want to mark those kinds of levels and seeing where you're at. Now watch. Let me throw that one up there for a moment. Now, it's not a coincidence that you rejected the pre-market high. That's not a coincidence. So even if you didn't do that, all you had to do is put VWAP in, and then you could just see wicks or price rejection. Rejects, that's it. I mean, this was a really easy short, very easy trade. So I can't do that trade because I'm already short and I own a full position. If I had a half position or a third position, yeah, I could. On a full position, I just have to honor my process, right? Because I don't want an outsized loss because then it throws off my portfolio, and that's the last thing I want. So, but that was a nice trade. So what do you do with this now? Well, I don't know that everything's fine in China because, which is what, 30% of their sales, because they're forcing people to buy stock. That doesn't really seem like something I want to pay attention to. And here we are. Now, I want to point something out about this so that you kind of get this, because you've got to, and this is what I'm saying, this is what's going to be maddening about this market for people. Number one, hold on 1 second, do it this way. Number one, you're rejecting the 22. The longer that you stay under the 22, this 55 is going to start rolling. This 55 is going to start doing something like that, right? Over time. Okay. That's what's going to happen over time. You're going to start getting something like that. It's kind of cool that you can do this, actually. Right. You're going to start doing this over time. Okay. That's no bueno. That means it's not good for those that don't speak Spanish. So now you have that level right here, 50. But at the same time, I'm trying to cross the 50 level. Okay. So you've got a real battle going on here. If you're a betting person, which I am, you have to assume you're going to reject the 22. Why do I have to assume that? Because ever since I broke a 1222 cross, right, I have not been able to get below that. So the way that this works for me in my noggin is this. It's very simple. I've got a 1222 cross. That 1222 cross has to negate. How does that negate? By giving me another cross. Until that 1222 cross negates, the longer time frame moving average is my resistance. Look where we stopped. 2255 cross. In order for that cross to be negated, I need to get above and have a 1222 cross to the upside. I am far away from major long-term positions on this name. And here's what you have to understand too. You go watch these levels over here as I point this out. See where you were here on the 22, 248, let's call it the 55, 255. And then you go over, right? See how they're changing and they're dropping? Okay, what will start to happen if you look at those levels is they're going to stop dropping less and less. Why? Because this is going to start turning down. All right. And as that turns down, your chances of having a cross increase every single day. All right. In the meantime, this becomes support for that. This is breaking. I need to watch this 50 and go from there. They're the names I usually get asked about. Let's go to Apple. I usually get asked about that. We might as well cover Meta too. I'm sure I'll be asked about that. So here we are with Apple. Apple's the reason all this nonsense started on the tech side. I'm beelining right here, meaning I just got like a straight boom. It's like an arrow. So then I drop this into one of my other time frames and I go and take a look at this on just a regular time frame and go, okay, well, since the cracks up here, I've been struggling with the 8. Okay, so we caught up to the 8. And now since we caught up to the 8, the 5 started curling in here. See how the 5's? Okay. 5 has not done that since earnings. And we started doing it on the 23rd. We went flat. By the 25th, Friday, we're actually curling up in the morning with the 5-8 cross. Have you ever come back since then? No. Okay. So something to think about. So this is holding in there. I pay attention to this. I've been using this as a barometer. Am I saying you're going back to here? No. What I'm saying is that I think that you could get to 88 on the index. And what I would use as a goal for that is I got to see if we can get over this. What's my first hurdle? You're staring at it. I use a 12, a 22, and a 55. You should use what you want. So I think there's $2 there probably. And that's something I would pay attention to. Instead of me going into other names, I'll take questions. There's a bunch of names that I could go over, and there's a bunch of stuff I could talk about, but I'd rather answer questions during this period of time and go from there. 360 in the room. Can you all do me a favor? Stop and just like the video. I purposely do not run ads, and they don't show the video as much because of the algorithm, because of the ads. I don't want to run ads. So I appreciate it. And I certainly don't want to do sponsorships. I get asked all the time. Indexes, slight build, trend. What's going on? App. Yeah, I mean, look, let's go through this. I looked at this yesterday. I saw cracks yesterday because it shouldn't have done this. So I put in the room yesterday that this was setting up to take out a new high. I'll show you it. And let's do it this way. And you see this move right here? I'll show you. Here's your opening bar. Okay, right here, you see it? Right here? All right, there's your open. All right, I get above that open. Okay, this is the first time this has happened in this trade. If you ever see this and you're in one of these, this is a glaring sign that you have a problem. I'll show you. This should never happen, right? If you have like one of these kind of like crazy names, I can't get here's the open, right? If I try to get over the open and I reject, here I got over the open, they came back, they retested that level and we held, right? All right. I try to get over the open and I reject. That's a clear indication that you're going to have a problem, that you're getting tired. Because if you go back and you look at how, I mean, this is a wacky name. We all understand that, right? Like this is not normal. But if you start looking at the open of these prices that are always manipulated, they always hold the open. They always hold the open until they don't hold the open anymore. And then I know that's not like very prophetic, but by holding that open, hold on one second. Let me pull that over right there so that I'm on the right bar. There he goes. So by holding the open, I mean, you can look at that and see that one changed the entire chart. The entire chart changed. Now, what you need to do with this, if you want to play it, John, is you need to mark the closes and see if you're going to get support at any of these closes. You could use the highs too of these, like, are you going to hold here or not? I mean, you could use those, but you definitely want to use the closes and make sure that you hold the closes. But usually you see an exhaustive move. And this pretty much looks like that exhaustive move, doesn't it? So, something to think about. But that's how I would look at the world right there, John. Charter, I like. I was going through these bond portfolios this weekend because that's what I do. And what's so fascinating about Charter, and I really should have this on my list because this is really like powerful. And Charter's in the XLC. Charter's in there. Charter's in the XLC. So one of the core things about Charter that's fascinating is that if you go look at any like big high yield portfolio that's being managed, like anybody that's like managing money in high yield, you know what bonds they own? They're all trying to buy Charter bonds, which is kind of interesting. I've been watching this for some time, and yeah, I think you're there. I don't really need much more than that because I mean, I can put all this in, right? And I could say, okay, well, this is good. This is good. This is kind of good. It could be better. But you had a very light volume day, so everything in context. But instead of even getting into all that, just off of this, I mean, life is really very simple here. I mean, it doesn't really get much clearer on this trade, does it? Right? You either hold here or you don't. Okay. And if you push higher, by breaking that higher high, you just have to take the risk. But yeah, you're there. You're definitely there. I mean, you can't be waiting for, this. You're probably never going to see it again. But yeah, I mean, you can get up to 500 pretty quickly there, I think. I mean, this is a long base, man. You have some room to run here. And this makes sense. Stable earnings. There's a lot there. There really is a lot there. And I wouldn't sleep on that. I say it. I see that. I say it. I like that chart a lot. I think it's great. APP, a bunch of people in the room playing this. I had some levels marked off that I was waiting for. I'll clean all this off, John, and let's just drill into it. I kind of think you're there. So let's go through why we're doing what we're doing here. And let's go take a look at the events, and let's go look at earnings on chart and go from there. So here's your earnings. And ever since that earnings, you've been going sideways, right? So what I like about this now is how you're holding this level right here. Look how you're holding that. Okay. So you're flipping, right? This was resistance. And now what? Boom, pops. Now you're over. I like that a lot. I really do. I think it's pretty interesting. And you're having consistency on earnings. In other words, you're having consistent reactions to earnings. So they must be executing their plan. I don't know what their plan is, but they're obviously executing it, right? You see how the earnings? See how you bopped? Every single one of these was up on earnings. And then you ask yourself, well, why is the stock down? Well, that could just be market sentiment that was getting the market, getting it down, right? I like that, John. I do. I mean, look how easy your life is, man. Like, it's so clear. I mean, you can go all the way over. Like it's so clear. Like that's just a layup as far as where your level is, isn't it? And then if you close over there, then you just want to make sure, this would be your first target, right? I mean, I'm sure you already saw that, John, like right here and how that's, bounced. Support becomes what? Resistance. So that would be the next level to watch, and then just kind of walk yourself up. But it's there. It's definitely there. It's doing exceptionally well. I wouldn't sleep on it if you were interested in that kind of name. If you had to use one kind of indicator, which one would it be? Price. I thought we did that yesterday, Dan. What's up, Cam? WOR. Is that bacon? I love bacon. I don't think they make bacon. I don't like the wicks up here. I'm not crazy about that, Cam. No, I'm not crazy about that, dude. I see what you're saying. I get it. I mean, I say it, but you got a lot of things here that are going for you. The volume, not even just the volume, but look, you have no sellers. Nobody's selling. Nobody's selling. So nobody's selling, man. I get that. That makes a lot of sense, but that's just not my kind of trade. I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to, I don't think that. I like this. I'll tell you why I like this. Test, undercut, holds here, right? Look at this little move. You have this DTL up here, which I'm sure you already saw, Cam. So I have room. See this bar right here? 740, see where you're at? Breakout, backfill, retest right to here, makes a decision, makes a higher high. You're already ready to go. That's already set up. You're there. All you have to do is make a higher high, trades on, and then you have to use the low as a stop, and then you want to see how you act when you get to here. The question is, are you at least at 2-to-1? You want to be at least 2-to-1. I mean, you're right there, man. You're really not there with slippage. You just have to assume that you're not going to break that. So you're a little under 2-to-1 on the trade, Cam, but I do like it. I love these kinds of trades. Tries to break the failure, the holding. See, like, here's the thing, right? It breaks out, and then comes down, and then makes a lower high, and then makes a lower low. All right. Breaks out. Look at it. And then look at it. See what I'm getting at? You didn't make a lower low. You went sideways. That's what somebody basically sitting here going, no. We'll buy. We're a buyer. And that's what you want to see. I like that. I'm going to go through these pretty fast, guys. I apologize. There's got to be a faster way to get these names out. 3M settled combat year litigation. Yeah, this has been a pickle for me. This is one I did, John, and I didn't I didn't make any money. I lost money. I got information that the market was weak. I flipped the 200. I got giddy. I bought, and it just didn't work. Candidly, didn't work. I ran up to the 200 and I've already rejected. I can't go near that. I'd actually be on the other side of that because they use that as a liquidity. You could tell institutions use that as a liquidity event yesterday. I'd probably short that, especially if the dollar goes higher. Yeah, I don't know that I don't know. I'm not feeling that. What's up, Claudia? NEWR. What's up, Hunter? NEW. Where are we here? Newt. Why don't you do what I want you to do? There you go. Yeah. How's your volume? Wow. Wow, your volume fell off a cliff. I'd like to see more volume, but yeah, I mean, that's very attractive, especially this part of it. It's very attractive to me, how we're hanging in there. And look at how you held the 50 on the RSI. All that's very attractive to me. What's up, Bob? I feel like I haven't seen you forever. What's up, Kev? What's going on, Joan? No, I tried. It just doesn't work. I'm usually getting coffee and planning out my day. We try, Andrew. That's all we can do every day is just try to get better. What's up, Kev? CDNS. I'm trying to figure out which one of these to cover. Let's do this. What's up, Jacob? I mean, you're kind of there, aren't you? See how you're holding that 55? As long as you're like, look, if you like that name, as long as you're using that 55 as a stop, what's it matter? Like you'll hardly lose anything. I really want to look at a net with you because this is just fascinating to me. I have all these lines in here and I was watching this and just this move, just this complete utter rejection, but you're still holding this. Here, watch this. I was looking at this the other night. I'm just like, it's kind of crazy to me, but here, watch. See it? Like you're not breaking that. You're not, whoever's here and said, I want to pay for earnings. These earnings were great. I want to pay that for it. They're staying in there. They're not going away. See the wicks? This is a really hideous pattern, but they have not gone away yet. So I don't play them. I try. It's always a nightmare, quite frankly, Lux. Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it. Google has an event today. What's up, Marcus? Google's one of the best looking charts out there as far as like mega caps. They have an event today. The last time they had an event talking about their AI plan and strategy, the stock went up dramatically. That's why you're seeing the buzz. Yeah, please drop a like. It does help greatly with the video, and I don't want to run ads. What's up, B? I haven't seen you forever. Yeah, this is not my kind of trade. It could absolutely work. These earnings, the drugs that they have, it could be the best thing since sliced bread. Me chasing a pharmaceutical company, I might as well write a check to St. Jude. Like it just never works for me. If I was in that, as long as I didn't break 538, I'd be fine. SMAs, Claudia. What's up, G? No. No, I will never stop slurping. Deal with it or move on. Thoughts on V consolidation period, RSI crossed, MACD divergence. Take a look. See what's going on. Yeah, I don't know. I'm missing something because I'm not getting these. Because look at this. Like I'm missing something there. I'm not getting it. Is it because credit card bills are the balances are going up, but they don't get a portion of that, right? They don't get a portion of it. So I feel like I'm missing something there. Like you would think if the consumer gets into problems, what's going to happen? They're going to lower their usage of cards. But I really should try to understand this a little bit more. There's something fundamental here that I'm not getting. Because this chart's beautiful. Let's look at yours. It's too wild. That's too wild for me. And MasterCard looks better. It's probably very similar. Got very similar actions, obviously, but I would do this because my stop's so clean. Like it's just so obvious where the stop is. Where this is going to be way wilder. I mean, I got all these wicks, and I just like the other trade better. High-end retailers were doing better. They're not doing as much now. I'm not going to be able to get to all these. INVH. Jung, hit me in the room too, and I'll go over it. I would not touch that. I think it's very clear what's going on here. Is it a home builder? I wouldn't touch home builders here. What's up, B? I want to do these. Let's go through these. I want to do this. I like this. I don't like yesterday's action. Now, it could have just been to shake people like me out that aren't like true believers in the name. I don't like that. I see the time, John. I know. What's up, Mike? I wouldn't go near that. You see that huge? There's a huge DTL here. I mean, you got to get through this stuff. I think you have to get through that. Like you're going to play that. You failed. Like you're not able to get over this bar. I'd be careful there. HE can easily go to $20 or higher. Let's see here. Silver bottom. I'm awful trading silver, brother. Like I'm the worst person to ask about silver. NIO and all those names, I think they're zeros. I've been saying that forever. It doesn't mean I'm right. Home builders are overvalued. Uranium, I don't trade. XLE looks good. No, it doesn't matter. Keep asking questions, dude. I'm actually, when I say I thought I answered this yesterday, I'm talking to myself as well. You're welcome, John. You always slurp. It is what it is, man. Thanks, Brian. What's up, Sue? Look at that dog. Is that a Shih Tzu? My son has a Shih Tzu. All right, so let's wrap this up with SOX. SOXL. There's nothing about that chart that's telling you to buy when you have this kind of candle right here. Short term, maybe, but there's nothing there. DoorDash, nothing. I mean, you could try, and the dollar breaking out, maybe. I know people are looking at this, but it's a little too obvious for me, to be quite honest with you. I got to jump, everybody. Trade to win today.